My name is Aasman. I work for a Dutch telecom company in the research department. And besides that, I'm a part-time professor at the Industrial Design Department of the Technical University of Delft, where I teach students how to write interfaces. And with both employers, I now and then have the opportunity to use Lisp in a project. Today I'm going to talk about one of these projects where we use Lisp. I'm going to talk about a trial we did with in-home networking and wireless webpads. And how we did it, we got to the conclusion that we needed to help users with getting to web content. So we after the trial, we built a recommendation engine in Lisp, and half of my talk is about that. And then I'll talk a little bit about the future research that we're going to do with the stuff that we built. Now first, I think about 3 years ago, I got the question from KPN, the telecom company. The question was, what should we do in the home? Should we just deliver bits to the home and that's it? Or is there an opportunity for us in the home that people in the future will spend more money on electronic services? And I said, okay, give me the money and I'll build something that people really want to use in the household, in the living. And what we did was build a luxury package for in-home. So what we did was to build an in-home network with a residential gateway. I'll get to that back a bit later. Most of the attention was focused on a special bookmark-based browser for a mobile webpad. And we built a personal proxy cache for internet, music and video. And the proxy was on the residential gateway. Now we do these things to learn what users want, and what are they going to do with the stuff that we built for them. We want to see what providers will do when you provide such infrastructure in the home. And of course, it's a commercial company, so we built business cases to see in what form we should mold our entire infrastructure so people really are willing to pay for it. Okay, so we prepared for a trial in 10 homes. What we did, oh, I'm a little bit fast. We gave people, is my mouse visible? Yeah. We gave people an ADSL connection, just an ADSL modem with a hub and a wave load. And so people were able to use the laptop everywhere in their home and the wireless webpad. We used the existing phone wires to put home PNA on them. Most of you probably know this. It seems to be reasonably popular here. It's a 10 megabit Ethernet over the existing wires. And so in one fell swoop, everything was changed to a network in the home. We had a connection via a radio-controlled IR device to control the television from the wireless webpad, so we could click on the electronic programming guide and control the television. And we wanted an entirely wireless home, so we also gave people who didn't have a wireless phone a wireless phone. Now, the first thing we built was this residential gateway. We wanted to have something in between the in-home network and the out-home networks. You probably can't imagine it, it's probably all merged. So now it is to set up a network, but most consumers are completely panic-stricken when they have to connect whatever comes into their homes with the in-home network. So what we wanted to build was a magic device that would connect these networks that we could control from a distance. So that's everything went wrong in their homes with the network. We could go in from a distance and repair your network and repair your PC. And then on this residential gateway, we put lots and lots of storage. We'll talk about that later. And we provided a platform for additional services. So we used an open platform, Linux, and a new standard for residential gateways called Aasman, so that other people can build new services, and then new services won't disturb the services that are already there. Okay, the second thing we built was this bookmark layout. The second thing we did was to provide users with a wireless webpad. Every CEO of a big electronics company or software company already has been on the stand with this thing in front of them, saying that this is the future. But I also kind of believe that webpads in the little are the future. I mean, if you're sitting in front of the TV, you switch off your mind, you're just in a meditative state. That's it. Or if you're working on a PC in a very active state, in your working, but there is something in between, and the webpad is one of these things, and I'll show you later. So we had the webpad, and what we did was build a bookmark-based browser. I'll give you some examples of that. We had an electronic programming guide, email, and a community of webpad users. Now, we wanted to make the webpad was primarily used for surfing on the internet, and we wanted to make it as simple as setting TV. So we wanted it extremely easy. We wanted to personalize it so that every user in the home would get his own bookmark structure. A girl of 12 has a really different bookmark structure from a guy of 44. We wanted to keep the user interested into going out on the net, so we manually made sure that you've got suggestions every day, and we wanted to make it extremely fast. So every thing that was in your bookmark tree was also prefetched on the residential gateway. So then loading up a page of newspaper was always within the range of 100 milliseconds. So in the past we built several of these, I had my designers build about 6 or 7 bookmark-based browsers, especially geared to wireless webpads. This is one that you can control completely with one finger. Let's see. This is one where here you've got your main categories. It's in Dutch, news, utilities, work-related things, free-time-related things, shops, people, dictionaries, etc. And what you could have, because everything is pre-cached, you could have this speed in browsing. You can imagine that it's much more fun to go to your particular things that you go daily to go to that in just with this speed. I'll give you another example of one of these things that we built. I think it might be here. Yeah, this is one. Where all your bookmarks would be always on one page. You could click on Google. And Google would be there, you would type the stuff, then you would go to the yellow pages, the Dutch yellow pages, and you would do this. Or if you want to go to /dot, you would go there, and you want to go to a cookbook, and you would do it like this. And we tested it with people, and people loved it. Let's see where am I? Sorry? Okay. Here I am again. But finally we did a real life pilot, and then you have to skip all the beautiful and aesthetical stuff, and you have to go down to a slightly more boring user interface. This was the user interface that we finally used. So what you see here are the people in the household, and I would click on this one. And then here would be my bookmark tree, and I could say, okay, I want to go to fast internet, and then here would be my daily newspapers. I would be able to click on the newspapers, I would go to the utilities, and go to the yellow pages, or I can go even deeper. There's a whole thing here that shows where you are in the tree. And you have to realize this is just normal Internet Explorer 6, and this is a Delphi application around the bookmark tree. Now within the same style, we had an email application, I won't go into details about that. And we had a TV guide, or an electronic programming guide. It's probably hard to read there. One of the fun things was that you could both look on all the channels that are available, or you could look at categories like sports or music, or you could search for a particular actor, and you would get TV programs that would come up to date with that stuff. I used it a lot to get my Frasier, daily dose of Frasier. And the interesting thing was I could click on Zap, and then the TV would switch to this particular program. So it was already also used the webpad as a remote control. So then we did this pilot in 9 families, and we did it for about 5-6 months. And got very interesting results. So can you imagine having one of these devices at home in your house? And suppose you've got this family with 4 persons. So how many hours per day, how many hours per week is such a thing used? What do you think? Anyone has an idea?
20, 60.
60?
Wow. 20.
it's close. It's 25 to 30 hours per week. I find it amazing because you bring a new medium in the life of people, and they immediately will use it. Well, just an incredible amount of time. But if you look at the observance data, it's also very understandable why they did it. Because, well, usually when you're watching the two people to a TV program, then there's always one person who really likes what's on television, and there's always one who doesn't, well, slightly less interested. If my wife is looking at something medical, I would pick up this thing and browse through the thing for 20 minutes, and then I would switch to football, and my wife would immediately take the thing and switch to other stuff. What we also saw is we had about 11 people in our trial group that never used the internet before, and after this thing, they all used it. It's also very understandable. Usually, at least in the Netherlands situation, the PC is not in the living room, it's somewhere upstairs. So now with the mother in the house upstairs and do internet, I mean, it's highly unsocial. But if you're all in a room, the children can help you to get on the thing. So it was really a very social thing. We found that usability is key. We also provided Internet Explorer on the thing. But people all preferred our browser. And personalization is key. People really like the selection that we made for them. And they were also satisfied with the manual suggestions that we gave them daily. And one other personalization item was that we forgot to put on a password on the thing so that both the children and the parents felt fairly inhibited to go to certain sites. So that's something we changed in the latest version. Okay, what we found out is that personalization is a very, very important thing in an interface like this. So people really only wanted the things that we suggested to them, to these bookmarks, into the URLs in the bookmark tree. And interactive marketers immediately saw this as a great opportunity to make a sports thing, and a shops thing, a shops category, and put in there very highly specialized items that are targeted to you. And it's an opt-in mechanism, so you don't have to go there. But what we already saw in our bookmark tree is that because you can download a page within 100 milliseconds, it's very, how do you say this? I mean, what you usually then will do is just sap through all the things in your bookmark tree to see if there's something new. And you also go through your shops because it doesn't take you this 6 to 8 seconds to get this page up. Now it's just out of curiosity, it's hardly any cost to just go to a shop. So marketers really were enthusiastic about this stuff. And we already provided users daily with suggestions, but it was very, very hard and time consuming. So we said, okay, let's automate this stuff and build an automatic recommender system. Now, I don't know whether you know about collaborative filtering and other recommendation techniques, but most of these systems require that a user rates a page. And so we built several versions, and one of the things we find out that people just hate rating a page. One might do it in Amazon.com because one has a good feeling towards a book, but for normal web pages, people just don't want to do it. It's certainly a condition for failure to try. What we also found that most recommendation systems don't have the luxury that we have, namely that we have on the web path a browser that's a client that you've got total control over. So you know even the smallest scroll, mouse movements, clicks, changes in the bookmark tree. You can't see that if you have a server-side solution, people use just Internet Explorer. But if you have a client solution on the web page, you really can see everything that the user does. And you can use that to both classify what the user wants and classify web pages. So we decided to build a new system and not use one of the available ones. When you look at the available ones, what you usually see is that they use abstract clustering. They think that AI can do everything, so they just take the top 10,000 pages, they do analysis on that, then they come up with these clusters of pages, and then marketeers and other people look at it and say, well, this cluster might be something with sports. Let's call this sport. We tried it, and well, we found it doesn't really work. So we thought, let's start with with pretty inclusive. Let us use humans to classify pages and find pages that go with certain categories and use that as a starting point. And in that way build something that's far more something that will link to what people really like. So how do we do this classification? What we did is we did research to find the most 100 interesting categories. We then used about 150 subjects to find 30 pages per category. People would get a $50 how do you say this? A thing for which you get a book certificate. A gift certificate. Yes. So then we had a big data set, and we used the TF-IDF to get the words, to extract the words out of these web pages, and we were going to use it in a neural network that had as a maximum input 3,000 inputs. So we used this technique to get those words that best described certain categories, and we used that to train a classifier called Clementine. You can buy it from SPSS. And use that as the thing that will decide what pages are. I'm now going to explain how this architecture works. These are the people at home who use our personal browser. And this is the user world, and this is the list world. And what you see here is, for example, a user database and a web page database. It was basically all one big Allegro store database. What I want to stress with this picture is that the left side is everything that has to do with user profiling, and the right side is everything that has to do with the web page profiling. So, in order to understand how our system works, this is the user database that contained all the information about the user, but also per user a weighting factor of 100 categories, and there was a weight between -1 and +1. So you've got football -1, classical music 0.6. Of course, it's got the current bookmark tree, web page that you already suggested once to this particular user, filters, whether or not the person wants to do anything with sex or just likes to have pages that do something with sex, and well, whatever, thousand little things. Then you had a web page database which contained almost 1 million web pages. And every page had a binary factor for the same 100 categories. In this case, it's binary, so it's a 0 or 1. So a particular page would have a 0 for football, or 1 for classical music, so 0 for shopping, etc., etc. Then the personal browser was written in Delphi, and we used we had communication between this event decoder, which was just a simple socket server, and we were very old-fashioned and we didn't use XML, but just S expressions to move between the personal browser and our system. And we used a small Java component to read this expression and feed that again into Delphi. I forgot the name of the Java component. Anyway, so what this personal browser does is send 4 types of messages to the user profiler. It clicks everything he does with his mouse. The manipulation of the bookmark tree, like adding a new category by hand, or saving something, a new web page under a category, or whether you print the page. And to the web page profiler, we've got new URLs typed in. So then you had if I now look only at the user profiling, we had 2 ways to modify the weighted category factor of the user. The first one was explicit. Say the user adds a new category, then you right away can say, okay, this user is interested in sports. Or you would do it implicitly. Every time you get data about what the user does, you change a little bit this weighted factor. And we used a preference logic to say that saving a page in the bookmark tree is a very strong indicator that he's interested in the topic. Printing a page a little bit less, and then clicks are even a bit less than these things here. So what you basically have is a learning system. Observe what the user does, you slowly, over time, change the weight factor. So this is what you do on the user side, and you go to the web page side. And, what you see here, if the user types in a URL that you never saw before, but if the user saves this unknown URL in a certain category, then it's an extremely strong indication that this is a web page from this particular category. But if you just typed in a URL and didn't do anything with it, we had to do somewhat more complicated stuff. First, this unknown URL is weblock, because pages usually consist of lots and lots of frames. We had to go 6 levels deep to get every subframe of a possible page. And then the next step would be to remove all the garbage in parts of the page. So we used the weblock and the Allegro server package to do that. What we got out of it was a raw word count vector, and then would go into a so-called language identifier that we bought. And what you can do with this language identifier, you feed it a bunch of words and it says it is this language. Or no, it comes back with a list of languages that are in the page. And it seems very simple to get a language, but we can assure it took us a long time to really determine whether something was an English page or a Dutch page. And we finally got to the algorithm. If there's even one word Dutch, it's probably a Dutch page. And if only it's all English, it's an English page. It seems so simple, it took us a long time. What this thing also does is then finally build the input vector for the classifier. So we then got down to our 3,000 words that describe the categories. And then the word count vector was sent into the classifier. And this thing would return this 100-bit category binary vector that describes a particular web page. And if you then finally got this category vector, then you also knew that this user is probably interested in this type of stuff. So we also changed a little bit the weight factor here. And the final thing is then that the recommender would match what the users like, and new pages in the system, and then a few times per day the recommender would send recommendations to the personal browsers. And it would look something like this. This is the newest version that we have. Here are the normal newspapers in my daily category, and here are the suggestions for this particular time. And again, these particular things were prefetched, so if you could click on them, it wouldn't cost anything. Within 100 milliseconds, again, you would have your page. Okay. Any questions about this recommendation thing, or go on with the future research? Yeah?
How did you partition user profile data? One of your examples was that you were both sitting in front of the television and then the other person would grab the pad out of the hand, which meant it was still logged in on your profile as your wife started certain pages. So she was theoretically corrupting your profile. How did you deal with those kind of issues?
Only now and then, I use it also, and only now and then I would look at the stuff of my son. But most of the time I'm completely uninterested in the games he plays and the stuff he goes through, and I would type in my own name.
What is it you logged on to the pad?
Yeah?
And then she wants to use the pad but still logged on to your name. I doubt she logged off every time and put her own name in each time.
No, but your days were always in view. But most of the time were in view. So it was only one click to change to your bookmark profile. And now and then you look at the stuff that the kids are looking at, of course, and then you get some strange data, but you do it only now and then, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you get already far more information than you just look at an Internet Explorer Outlook coming to you. Other questions, yeah?
Do you have concurrent users? That is there only one of these little devices and it has to be passed from family member to family member? Does each one have one in his bedroom and one in the kitchen and they're running simultaneously?
We can have 32 of these web pads
in one house.
In one house, but we had only one because this thing cost us about $5,000 in that trial period. They're now cheaper ones to go down to $600, and then you'll see multiple web pads in the house.
But if you have multiple pads, you'll be likely to have a lot of concurrent usage, right?
Yeah. That would be a problem. It's an 11 megabit network, and it wouldn't confuse the the recommendation engine.
Then your 30 becomes 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think 100 categories is about right?
Yeah, well, we were a little bit constricted by the neural network that we used. We had only 3,000 inputs. If we're going to a commercial thing, then we probably want to change that and want to go to 200. But everything is very special, that's true. But if you look at what people really do in daily life, it's only a few categories that everyone is interested in. And then everyone has one thing that makes it unique, one special type of dog that you're interested in, one type of computer language that you're interested in. Yeah.
And what were the inputs that you were actually using? I think I missed that. You said 3,000 inputs, but what were your inputs?
It was one factor, one.
Oh, I mean, are they word counts or they?
Word counts. So the word, we see that the word football was used 4 times in this particular page, and you would get 4.
So they were normalized word counts over, all the web page histories, or are they?
Unnormalized. So what we would do is take a category, take these 30 pages per category, and just look at the word counts per page. I guess it's kind of normalized. Yeah?
About 2 people who have interest in the same category but slightly different views of it. So they might want to find out about things that the other person has discovered, but not everything that they also have their own views of it.
Well, that's the thing that feeds this whole network. You're interested in dogs, I'm interested in dogs. You're more interested in big dogs and I'm small dogs. So now then you go to a page about dogs that I never saw, but now there is a page about dogs in the categories. So it will be suggested to me. So I will all the time get your new pages. Oh, of course I will get it only once, and I won't get it all the time.
So now if you say, but you know what, I don't like that page.
If you don't keep it in your bookmark tree, you'll never see it again.
So so you can delete it from yours, but it doesn't get deleted from hers.
No, certainly not. Everyone has his own selection. And now in memory, I will have. I don't like your big dog page, so I will have a memory in my profile that I didn't like this. Well, that I already saw this page and I didn't store it, so I'll never get it again. But I will have to go through all your big dog pages. Sorry, he was first.
Please.
Okay. And okay.
Where is the recommended system here its inputs from? Is it generally the pages that have been visited by family, or is it get it from the gateway of somebody else and get new inputs, new URLs?
Yeah, the motor are the people themselves. The engine is the motor, the people themselves. So you have these categories, people go to new pages and store them in the bookmark tree, and then the entire set is increased, and everyone who's interested in the same category will now get to see your page. So everyone is helping everyone to get more pages in the entire system.
So it's not something who's pushing out pages.
No. And for the commercial trial, we also will have human editors who will, whose job it will be to find new interesting pages for certain categories, and that will also feed the entire network. Sorry, you might have a question.
So you have your initial 3,000 pages, whatever, that was manually categorized, and then other ones that just people happen upon,
Yeah.
and you categorize them automatically. How well do the automatic categorizations compare to the manual ones for the new pages? Could you just go in and add a whole bunch more new pages, just doing the automatic stuff?
Yeah, but it's a difficult. It's an art. So what we see now, we're now doing trials to see whether people really like things, because usually what happens in the AI literature that they describe a fantastic new recommendation system, and they forgot to tell how people really liked it, the suggestions they got. So we're now doing this to see whether people find really this new page doesn't really fit within this category. And what you see is, if there's Wimble, then really you need a new category, because people, it's a category in itself. Or if there's the Tour de France, then in itself, that And you really need a new category for that. So we're also working on extending categories dynamically. But we're now limited at this point as neural network, so we're trying to find something else that will work better than what we have. Okay, then?
I guess my other question is, did you just ask anyone, how do you find this relative to Google? Do you like this better than Google? Or, I mean, I don't have a recommendation engine, so when I want to find out about something, I go to Google. I was wondering how this compares with Google, from the perspective of the people who tried it out.
Yeah. We didn't ask it, but there's something beneath your question. If you look at how people go onto the internet, and you look at the normal data of 90% of the people, they don't go to more than 4 or 5 websites per day. Yeah? And if you don't have friends that tell you all the time what's interesting, if you're at work, you will get URLs from colleagues all the time to tell you, hey, look at that page, look at that page. That's one way to extend the things that you go to. And Google is, of course, another thing. And what this thing has is incredibly enlarged the set that you, just like the settings that people go to. Of course, people who search for things always should use Google and not this stuff. Shall I continue? Later on, we can take more questions. And this is only my final slide, by the way. My company was enthusiastic about this whole thing, and we were enthusiastic too about what people liked about the system. So we made a lot of changes to the entire thing. The first thing is we had a cable TV to residential gateway, so already had ADSL going into it. We now feed the cable also into it, and we can store 300 hours of television on this thing. It's like a TiVo box from the replay TV thing. We can control it from a webpad and even from a PDA. So what we now have is an iPad with a waveland in. What we can do is, we're now going to here, but what we also made is a peer-to-peer mechanism between these residential gateways, so that you might conceive a future where many people have this thing, 300 hours of television there. If I saw a nice television format that you didn't see, and I can send it to you, and we already built it on our PDA, so I can sit up in our canteen and say, hey, did you see the latest Frasier episode? And they say, no, I didn't. And I say, oh, you really should see it. And I say, okay, send it, and I'll send it to your residential gateway, over to ADSL. And we're talking now to content producers, because if this thing would become popular, it would be fantastic, because then they could build whole new formats on top of this. It's one way to get interactive TV. And to get the thing payable, we also are now talking to utility companies, companies that provide electricity and gas. And because in Europe, this stuff is finally being privatized, and there's a law that says that people must, within a few years, have always insight in how much they're using. And there are already companies that have these meters that are completely automated. I don't know whether you have them in the States, but in Italy there's a trial going on where people will have this automated meter in the utility closet, and then on the website you can check your electricity used in the future if you need to change providers using the utility company that you use. I gave it all away in this sheet already, but what we're now considering doing is to do a trial with 100,000 households in the north of the Netherlands, and provide this combination of both an entertainment residential gateway and this the thing with electricity meter on it. And for me the fun part will be that there will be this inside. Thanks. So, how many minutes do I have? 5, 6. 1, 2 more questions? Yeah?
I would like to note that as you presented, as I understood it, you just give, when building the user profile, you just consider positive events, like starting a page in the bookmark, or printing the page, or clicking. There are no negative events, or there are no expiring of the don't think I'm saying
The only negative effect is that if you never go to a certain category, then over time slowly the weight for that category will decrease. So the negative thing in this, the negative feedback is that you don't go to pages and that you don't go. You also, but then again, it might be something if you only use as a dictionary, and now only then.
Well, I was asking this because I bought the digital camera recently, and before I bought it, I was browsing the web for information on digital cameras. If I were using your system, 2 months from now I will be still being suggested pages about digital cameras, but I don't want to look at them because I have already a digital camera. That's what I wanted to look for digital cameras initially. Just for it.
Well, say digital camera was a category, you just can delete a category, that would be a negative event. I'm no longer interested in it. Or it would always be in your category shops. And there would be a company that really wants to have you and would send you special offers or because you want audit and now you probably get it to the end of your life, but you don't have to click on it because it's in shops. And if you don't click on it, the company will maybe stop harassing you. Do you have a final question?
Do you eager refresh of the pages in the residential gateway or not?
Do what?
Eager refresh. How often have they refreshed?
You can do lots of intelligent stuff with this, but we just chose to do it in some cases just every hour. Because, I mean, there's lots of interesting work that you can do with that, and we talked about it with Fast, how we might do it, but in our case, every hour was enough. And because a newspaper changes only once a day, and most sites don't change that often. Yeah? Okay, thanks.